We are not. Don't what do you have for lunch?
I had milk and biscuits.
It's okay. I'm waiting
for breakfast and lunch.
I am waiting for that lecture. I'm waiting. We are with Uganda's favorite doctor who will remind you that if you eat food with cooking oil, don't eat food with cooking oil.
Yeah.
Rolex is bad. Chikarai bad. Chips chicken fried.
No, we're going to argue the whole show.
Grasshopper,
Trust me.
if you're eating a grasshopper, eat only the abdomen, but the head, the thorax, they have fats.
No, we're going to argue the whole show. I'm telling you.
We are very happy. We are very happy today and honored to have a qualified medical doctor who also specializes in nutritional, functional, and lifestyle medicine. And he's also a speaker as well. Introducing the one and only.
The dietitian of Kampala and beyond. Because nowadays I see on his Twitter he's international, my friend.
Yeah. And he's very fit. When he walked in, he said, I'm not going to sit down. I won't stand up because it's like jogging.
Yeah.
I'm still jogging, so.
The only guest who has not had a problem with removing shoes says, actually, walking bare feet is actually wonderful. It adds over how many outside guy. Can you just?
I'm very happy to have you.
The famous Dr. Kasenene.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Laura. I'm happy to be here, and good evening, all the listeners. I'm excited to be a part of this.
How are you?
I'm great.
So Laura was judging me for having bad lunch. Did you have lunch? And what did you have for lunch? Before we get into the celebrity trivia.
So I didn't have lunch today because it was a busy day, but I did have 2 smoothies before at about, let's say, 1:30. So one was a beetroot ginger smoothie. The other was...
Chigaju?
Close. Spinach, celery, cucumber, ginger, and green apples. So yeah, we have that a lot at the office, so I had that.
So you ate salads for juice. Wow.
Smoothies.
Yeah,
so sometimes to be healthy, you need to have money as well. Otherwise, you're going to go and get a blender and make your own smoothie at home.
And then you put avocado.
And add sugar.
Oh yeah, without sugar, right?
Definitely without sugar. I mean, you can't be adding sugar to a smoothie. I mean, that's like crazy.
I think you have. I think you have had that. We have Dr. Kasenene in studio, and this is a culture that we do here. When we have a guest on the blue chair, we ask you random questions and we wait for random answers. This is the celebrity trivia. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
I like eating chapati. It makes me alert, but now I don't know if the smoothie is going to.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. John?
Let's go.
Let's do this. Question number 1.
Yes.
Nasi Jiri or the oven?
The oven.
Okay. So food is better when you cook with oven?
Well, the Nasi Jiri is also good, but a lot of smoke that comes out sometimes, and sometimes that can actually have a negative impact. But they're pretty much safe, but I would go with the oven because you can control the heat, and heat is not always too bad, but it's actually similar, but I would go with the oven.
Okay. Because I thought that controlled artificial heat is bad for food. But anyway,
okay.
Well, you get 2 options, Sigiri or oven, but if there's no smoke, you would go with the Sigiri.
Okay. The smoke is the problem.
Yeah.
If someone makes a Sigiri from a corner, and then for him he just comes and finds it ready.
Okay, John, over to you.
There's a place in Chadon. What is it famous for?
Pork.
Thank you. Someone has said that make sure he says pork at least, that you love mentioning the word pork, so I'm glad it has come out of you.
I was going to say rugby.
I know, and I'm glad the word has finally come. Woohoo! I have 50K after here.
Yeah. You better share that with
I will.
Dr. Kasenene.
Yes.
Boiled yams or boiled pumpkins?
Well, I prefer pumpkins. So since they are both boiled, I would go with pumpkins. They are orange. Orange foods are high in carotenoids, which are very good for immunity and the heart. So, and the pumpkins are lower in glycemic. So basically, they have lower calories. So, pumpkin any day for me.
And there are some orange sausages.
Some people were ready for COVID before us.
So. Some orange sausages that I know, but anyways.
Orange sausage. Orange sausage?
The things they put in the hot dogs. I've just forgotten the name.
The Frankfurter.
Uh-huh.
They're not orange.
Are they also orange?
No.
Yeah.
They're
So
red
now we're
pink.
looking at food and color. We shall talk about that.
Honest.
John, over to you.
Anyway, so I'm told that Manya boiled water is the best. But what would be the option if you had rainy water and mineral water?
Well, rainwater is always going to be better than mineral water. If you're talking about rainwater, right?
And consumption of it, yes.
Yes, because mineral water, the main thing is it's purified.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't even know how well they've purified it. But the big issue with mineral water is the plastic container that it comes in.
Even mineral water has a problem.
No, have you heard?
We are working
the
on the
plastic
masses.
container?
We are
Yes,
working on the
yeah.
masses of God.
Because you don't know how many refineries it has passed through.
So
Maybe
they-
it's like on your third level.
It's basically there's a compound in plastic called bisphenol A, BPA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually been shown to be, potentially carcinogenic and in some cases cause cancer. And that's why baby bottles,
Uh-huh.
usually you'll find they'll be like BPA free
Yes,
because
yeah.
they really make sure they remove that. Of course, rainwater is great, it's natural, and usually it's in a pot. So I would definitely rainwater.
I've had a solution for everyone who wants drinking water at my house. If it rains at my house, if you come to visit, it will be raining water for drinking water that day. Without being boiled.
Make sure you don't use a plastic cup.
No, now I don't know what Bomba does, but
I have another question for you, doctor.
Yes,
You're married.
definitely.
14 years now.
Yes, 14 years in December.
Okay, now you and your wife are going out on a date.
Yes.
You've gone to a restaurant.
Yes.
What would you order for?
So typically I will order vegetables with fish. That's typically what I would have.
So you take cassava,
Low
yams.
No,
low budget
'cause
dating.
fish is a very healthy food. And there's different types. So you can either get tilapia or salmon or stuff like that. And then I'll usually have it with lots of vegetables.
So you'd go for seafood.
Well, yes, not too much seafood. I prefer,
John, have you heard? You like it in scorpions?
fish, but sometimes seafood, because I have a history of having had allergies in childhood, so shellfish and many seafoods have a way in which they excite your immune system in a certain way. But I also sometimes have soup, and my wife also, she likes vegetable pasta, lasagna, stuff like that. But on a date we'll be flexible, but I like my fish and my vegetables, so that's.
Interesting.
So if you take me out, I'm affordable, very cheap.
Budget dating.
Cassava.
Yeah. And no, you can even carry it to that one.
Not commando. Don't put
As long
Stop
as it doesn't
at
come in a
today, stop
cavera.
at-
If it comes in a cavera, he won't eat it. Polythene has a compound,
And the compound is called
PB what? PB4.
We have Dr. Kasenene with us
Oh,
right
no, very
here.
dry.
We have.
We host Dr. Kasenene, who is very scientific in everything he does.
He gives you the science.
The pen he holds, the shirt he puts on, it has to have a component. Even the face mask has to have a component that doesn't have cancerous component in there.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Dr. Kasenene, we're
Yes.
honored yet again.
Thank you, Laura.
Is this what led you to medical school, healthy living? Or you probably wanted to do like bones or be a surgeon somewhere?
Or you wanted to be a traffic police
or you
officer?
wanted to be a, what really led you into this health things?
So, my mom was a nurse, or she is a nurse, I should say. She retired though.
Yeah.
And so our home was like a mini hospital growing up. And I was always the guy who I was not very healthy. I was quite sickly because I had allergies and asthma and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And at some point, I didn't like the way people treated us, injections and stuff. So I wanted to find a way to help people. So I was inspired by her and just the desire to help people get care in a better way.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what took me to medical school. But what took me to this journey is actually another story.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be a heart surgeon, a pediatric
That's the question
heart
I had, yeah.
surgeon.
You wanted to divide
And,
hearts, put arteries back into the ventricle.
Yeah, and so when I finished medical school, unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, I got corrupted by money, in the sense that there was this U.S. project with Macquarie University, and they were paying in dollars, and it was just too attractive.
Yeah.
And they were paying like 5 times what other people get, in clinical practice. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna. So I just went into HIV research.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting a lot, eating what everybody else is eating, putting on weight, and suddenly I'm not feeling too good. I visited a doctor who I worked with and said, I don't feel too good. Took my pressure, it was starting to go up. I was 28.
Yeah.
My cholesterol levels.
As a
quite
young
high.
doctor, meanwhile.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
young doctor.
28.
And then he did something. I always tell this story. I mean, that thing changed my life. He just got a notepad. He just got a notepad and wrote atorvastatin, cholesterol lowering drug, and said, if your pressure doesn't come down, I'm also going to write for you something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So this is what we do to patients. They're sitting on the other side of the desk,
Yeah.
and you're just saying, go and take these drugs. He didn't even say anything like, what can we do to help the situation?
Yeah.
He's like, just go buy it. And he said, if you start, you don't stop.
That wasn't good.
And then I thought to myself, no, I don't want these drugs. I'm like,
Yeah. It's going to be
I
lifelong.
know we prescribe them, but I don't want them.
Yeah.
So I had to find a solution. So I began looking for, what should I do? Should I exercise? Fortunately, I told my sister-in-law who lives in the US in New Jersey, and she told me there's this crazy doctor in the US. It's called Joel Furman in our state. Check him out. He says he can sort out stuff using diet. So I did. And indeed, when I bought the guy's book and I read it, and I said, this guy is either a genius or he's crazy. Because the things he asked people to do were what people call now extreme. What I recommend is not extreme. This guy was like on plants and nothing. But I'm like, I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah.
And I even got in touch with him and asked him so many questions, like how people ask all these questions. And the guy got fed up of me. I could sense he was getting fed up of my questions. And he said, you know what, do you enjoy having asthma?
He gave up on you.
And I'm like, what do you mean? How can you ask me that? I got this thing from my mother. He's like, no, you got the genes from your mother. But it's your lifestyle that is triggering this thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, give me 1 week, change your diet, no cooked food. Eat raw foods 1 week. If nothing happens, let's part ways. But just give me 1 week.
Eat raw food.
Wow.
Raw food, no cooked food. I'm like, what does it? 1 week? Okay, you have a deal. So I did. Now, nothing radical happened, but on the 5th day, I remember very well, I woke up like at 5:30 and I was super alert.
Yeah.
Now, every
So
morning, I would struggle to get out of bed. Like,
Yes.
it was like,
You did a bit tired, hungry. Yeah.
and like, just 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Now, I was every day alert, fresh. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So anyway, I said, let me just try in a modified way. So I didn't follow exactly as you said, but I tried. But then I began to see changes. And then my wife after about 3 months, my wife says, you know what, you're no longer rubbing your nose every morning.
Yeah.
Because every morning I was rubbing my
Your
nose.
immunity went
She's
up.
like, you've stopped. And I don't have to push you in the night, to reposition you because you're making
Yeah.
funny sounds with your
Yeah.
nose. Like, they've gone. And I was like, wow, that's true. And then 1 year later, I realized I wasn't even using my inhalers anymore.
Yeah.
They were just in my wardrobe, and I never even wasn't using them. I had no asthmatic attacks. I had lost so much weight, by the way, like 10, 12, 15 kilos. But my life had changed. Like, it was like, wow, this is what patients want. Nobody
Blood
wants
was
to go
flowing
to...
normally and more livelier.
People don't want to go to a doctor and, have the best doctor. People want to be okay. They want to feel good, wake up in the morning, have energy, don't have to see an ENT all the time. So I realized, actually, we need to help people understand what makes them unwell and address that. And so I said, let me start this. So I quit my job after a few years later. I started this.
A juicy job. With,
I won't tell you how much I
Muzungu
was
money.
earning. Because if I tell you how much I was earning then,
Yeah.
it was like, wow. Even when I tell people today, they're like, and by the time I left, I was earning even twice as much.
Yeah.
So it was really, but I was so excited. I would tell everybody I knew about this, you've got to change your diet, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
People, of course, thought I was crazy. But then one by one, people start to see the benefits. And that's my story, but that's why I ended up.
Interesting. Doctor,
Wow.
where
Yes.
did you grow up from?
So I grew up in Swaziland. Eswatini today. It's called Eswatini.
The
A small
kingdom.
kingdom in southern Africa.
Yeah.
So we were there from 1982 until 1994. That's
Born
when
there
we
also
came
in
back.
England?
No, I was born here.
Okay.
How
Mulago
many
Hospital.
brothers, sisters?
2 brothers, 1 sister.
Now, do
Since-
they also follow your nutritional plans? They say a prophet is not welcome in his own,
Yeah.
in his own country. They're like, leave us alone.
They only
We want
follow
to
when they
eat."
need my help.
When they fall sick.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
okay, now I know my so I was the only guy who had allergies when I was young. Everybody else was
okay.
okay. Now it has just flipped. Now
Yeah.
all of them have.
Yeah. Because of
Allergies.
lifestyles anyway.
And I don't have it anymore. So, but anyway, look, they try.
Yeah.
But like anything in life, it depends on how passionate you are. I mean,
Yeah.
so they do try, I must say. But I can take things to the extreme. But yes, so 2 brothers, 1 sister. Sister firstborn,
Yeah.
and then 2 boys.
Okay.
And now you're married with 3 children?
Yes, 3 children.
When
Girl.
you get back,
Yes.
you're going to tell us about your family. If your family follows your diet plans as well.
But also, is there one of these children who wants to be a doctor?
And there are some children who are saying, Daddy, leave us alone. We're eating the greens every day.
Not yet.
Play football.
We want to eat pork. And we're here telling the doctor, we gotta eat. We gotta eat. And he's telling us about vegetable meat.
We gotta.
Yes.
We gotta eat. We're
Come
gonna
on.
eat. We're gonna eat carrots. We're gonna eat pork. We're gonna eat goat's meat.
I
We shall
know, I
put
don't enjoy
cookies.
goat's meat.
But she's telling us, no, guys, that's not healthy. And he's giving us some good wisdom. 104.1 Power FM. This is Urban Edge, and it's the Kablu Chair, Laura Grace and Corey John with Dr. Kasenene in studio.
Oh, yeah, we left off when you were telling us about your family, how your siblings are suffering now. Because
When they call you when they need
you're
when they have
continuously
problems.
ignored your ways, yeah, and that you are sickly now you're fine and great and you wake up fresh, even as you want. But tell us about your family. So your 3 children, are they? How old are they? Are they following the lifestyle? First and foremost, is your wife caught on? Is she sold? Because I feel like if she's sold, then the children are going to be sold really.
So she's sold on the principles, and
Okay.
I can say she's like 90% compliant. Because when you're a mother and you have kids, sometimes you feel, my kids shouldn't miss out on this and that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you an interesting story. One time when
Yeah.
our daughter was in nursery school,
Uh-huh.
she was in Little Cranes in Bugolobi. So one day I dropped her off, and the teacher said, I want to talk to you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, what's up? She's like, what? Sometimes you should pack normal things. I'm like, what do you mean normal things? Like, yeah, you always pack apples and carrots and, vegetables and things. Just pack some cake and
Yeah.
some sausages. And I'm thinking to myself, okay.
First of all, it's not there in the fridge at home.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is this. When you train your children, they grow up knowing that this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't just train them in the sense that I don't give it to them, but I also teach them.
Mm.
So I've had multiple occasions where people have actually come up and said, how do you get your daughter to act this way? She's now
Yeah.
12.
Yeah. That's
But,
your firstborn daughter?
Yeah, the firstborn daughter is
Nice.
12. Then the next is a boy.
Mm.
So the Paula.
Mm.
And then there is Samuel, he's 5. And then there's Elizabeth,
Mm.
who is 3.
Mm.
So one time we take Paula to a birthday party at the Sheraton.
Okay.
And we drop her off and we go. And then one of her friend's dad calls me and says, I think your daughter is unwell.
Yeah.
And so I rushed over.
But Ngazaruta is not eating.
Yeah,
well.
she refused to eat. I think she's
Yeah,
not
once
well.
you lose her.
Mm.
So I asked Paula, are you okay? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what's the problem? Like, they only, this is a real story. She's like, they
Yeah.
only brought chips, sausages, and soda.
Yeah.
So I
Like, I don't want.
And vegetable food. And soda for that.
I politely, I didn't, she's like, I'm tired of explaining to people that
Yeah.
I don't eat this stuff, so I just said I don't want to eat, and then I refused. But the truth is, once in a while she will have ice cream. She's a normal child.
Yeah.
She eats
No.
normal things, but
You're downplaying normal. That's not normal.
no,
She's
she does.
disciplined. She's well
Okay,
trained.
yeah, maybe the word is discipline.
She is
The
disciplined
child
because
doesn't love ice cream.
no, she does. I said once in a while she'll
Yeah.
have these kinds of things,
Mhm.
and she goes to school,
Yeah.
and she has friends, and many of my my let me say my cousins, my wife's family, my own family. When you take your nephews and nieces out, you want to spoil them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they,
Once in a while,
so when
really.
they go out, they become exposed to things and they eat once in a while. But they are healthy. They know the limits. If she's had a soda, she'll say, "Daddy, can I have a second soda?" If she's really feel like she wants one, but your daughter will ask you if she wants to have a second soda. I'm like, yeah, because even her, she knows she shouldn't have it, but so they are normal kids.
Yeah.
But at home, we try to eat healthy, and the principle is when you go out, that's when you can be flexible.
Okay. Do you have cheat days as well? You have heard of cheat days?
So, so
So
personally,
they have like cheat days on weekends. They can eat their cheats and all
the
that.
principle is not that you have a cheat day, but on the weekend, if you're out and you want to have something, then you can have it. But we don't say deliberately we're going to go and have a cheat day. Like, I don't have cheat days at all, but for me, what happens is if someone hosts me, like if I came here and we're going to have some pork and I'll have a bit. I won't say, I don't eat pork. It's
Yeah.
going to
Record that. Record what you have said.
He has said pork 3 times now.
No.
That's 150k for me.
First say it again.
no. So
That's
first
my
put
money in my wallet.
25K, yeah.
That's my money in my wallet.
So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So you have a bit of pork.
I can have, but I would never order it. So that's the thing. So I don't go out and
Okay.
say, today's my cheat day, I'm going to have pork and fries. No.
Okay.
But if I find it somewhere and someone offers it, I can have a little bit. Because I actually used to eat a lot of this stuff before.
Okay.
So I'm not like, I don't eat this, I don't eat that. But I know that there's many occasions when, you'll find it served and it's sort of disrespectful to say no.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going to get sick if you eat it.
Mm.
But so the idea is be healthy as much as you can, and then once in a while be flexible.
Mm.
I have a complaint here, sir. I have a complaint.
What's the complaint?
Yeah.
There's a student from Makere University who has said, why don't you want us to eat Rolex? We have no money.
He had
That's the quickest fast food for us at the university.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you want us to eat?
Now this Kasenene
You are
doctor
saying no Rolex. What is
had the
Rolex?
whole
What
had
did
the whole
Rolex
week
do to you?
had the whole week to abuse Rolex on Twitter.
Doctor, what did Rolex do to you?
It was
Yeah.
one
Did
post.
It's like emotional.
Did they ban the eggs? Did they give you no onions?
What
and they gave you the
happened?
nyam nyam
No, so
biscuit?
just for the clarity, when I was at uni in Makere, I was
Yeah.
in Livingstone Hall. I mean, we ate lots of chapati for sure,
Of course.
and lots of Rolex,
Yeah, but
definitely.
it's
That's
our
like
national
staple food.
It's our national food. It's
Yes,
pork.
but what we need to understand is
Mm.
that the consequences of our choices are not always seen today or tomorrow. So when you're eating your Rolex today,
Yeah.
it's like it's fine because tomorrow you're fine, the next day you're fine. But when
Yeah.
you're 35
Oh,
and the doctor is telling you that you have high blood pressure or diabetes or even colon cancer,
Yeah.
that started when you were just randomly enjoying your Rolexes.
In
Now
your
what-
20s.
Yes. Now people need to understand is what is the problem with the chapati. If you don't understand what it is, then you just feel attacked.
Okay.
But really, there's three main things in chapati.
Mhm.
It's refined wheat,
Mhm.
refined oil, and
Mhm.
refined salt. These are the three main things before you bring in the
Okay.
eggs. Now, grains, which wheat is one of,
Uh-huh.
are not unhealthy foods. But
Exactly.
grains
Thank
are
you.
meant to be eaten whole. Like
Okay,
when you
so
get maize
Yes, okay.
and you eat your maize on a cob,
Mm.
the hard outer part that you chew,
Mm.
the tester has lots of fiber and nutrients.
Mm.
You need that. So when you make portion and you remove that fiber
Then you refined it.
and you refine it and you remove the germ, you remove
Yeah.
all the nutrients, you remove
Yeah.
all the fiber, what you remain with is carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And carbohydrate called starch is actually worse than sugar because starch is thousands of glucose molecules together.
Yeah.
Sucrose is 2 molecules. Now, when you eat that, it's going to be converted into glucose in your blood.
Mm.
So, when you're eating refined grains, whether it's chapati or bread or cake, once it hits your blood,
Yeah.
it's a spike in blood sugar. Next thing, insulin is produced to counter this spike. Insulin makes your body store fat, makes you gain belly fat, makes you gain weight, makes you hungry. Before you know it, you're starting a spiral of things that leads to problems.
Okay, so what you're saying is if someone eats a chapati, it's like having 1,000 small little teaspoons of sugar in their cup of tea.
So I wouldn't say 1,000 teaspoons, but it's like, I would say there's like hundreds more glucose molecules you're going to get
Okay.
compared to,
Okay,
because of
because
course
I'm
you're not going to get
thinking
one, you're not going to put two
Two
crystals.
two crystals, yeah.
You're going to put a lot of, there'll be like maybe 1,000 of
But,
it.
Yeah.
Doctor,
yes.
I have this concern. I
Yeah.
think it's about moderation
Yeah.
and self-control. Because there's this saying, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
If someone is eating chapati every day, there will be a problem. Eating burgers every day, you start looking like a burger.
Mm.
If you eat pork every day, but now when you say that you don't eat chapati, don't, at least once in a while.
So,
Not all the time. Moderation.
So I think we shouldn't talk about moderation. I think the idea is people to be aware. What's the impact of my choices? So that when you make that choice,
Because
you
even
know,
in
know what you're
moderation.
eating.
yes, because if I, like a mother once asked me, how many, I used to give my child so many sausages a day, can I reduce them to half that?
to
That's-
two.
Yeah,
Or
that's,
once a week sausages.
that's better than what you've been doing for sure. But then I asked, and I heard this somewhere, someone asked, how many cigarettes are you going to give your child? Are
Okay.
you going to give them 2 in moderation or 20? Because you know it's harmful, you don't want to give them anything.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that when things are harmful, you don't want to be talking moderation. How
Wow.
much you don't want to be giving a little bit of poison to your child because it's moderation. And some things are really poisonous just because they don't overtly feel that way. So when you're taking chapati, you need to understand that this thing is harming my body.
Yeah.
And it is. And just because you don't get cancer tomorrow or the next day doesn't mean that it's fine. So you need to start thinking, okay, if I'm not gonna have chapati, what else can I have? Okay, let me go and buy cassava, this roasted cassava, konja, let me buy bananas. So the
Wow.
idea is we need to create awareness,
Yeah.
then tell people that, okay, look for options. But I tell people I would rather go and look for healthy food. I'd rather be inconvenienced and look for healthy food.
Which is
then-
cheaper anyway.
Yeah, then take this. So, and let me tell you, so chapati is really, there's like an epidemic of eating chapati. Literally, like it's like everywhere. And
It's good you have said that because I see you have a following, yeah, and you have people who actually are under your program, diet programs, and good results. I've seen people losing weight in 3 months. Someone's like, I was 77 and now I'm 65 in 3 months with Dr. Kasenene's program, and that is really, really good. But the thing is consistency. How can someone keep this consistent? Because let me say I'm now doing a program of yours. I go for a party. You know Ugandan parties. And you also know the Ugandan saying, if I die, I die. Because now you're hearing people saying, you know, chapati is, Ugandans will say, if I die, I die, I'll eat my chapati. So I go for this party, there's chapati, there's pork, there's even barbecue, then there is the cake, then they often bring the ofono soda, have, after party ofono soda, have, here you go.
Wait,
so
that's what they
what
say,
does
ofono.
what does a person do? I'm doing your program, how do I keep it consistent? Because that's, Uganda, this is the lifestyle we have right now. We eat, we like our food, we like our chapati, we like our pork.
So I'll say 3 things about that. You need to understand that, first of all, if you are on a program and you want your body to change, you have to do something consistently for about 6 weeks for your body to change its physiology. So when you're on a program, you want to be disciplined for a constant period, even at a party. Otherwise, your body's physiology doesn't change. And even though you get results, once you stop, it just goes back. But that said, if you're not on a program and you're on a healthy eating diet, okay, and you go to a party, it's again about saying, look, today it's okay, let me have this. And then get out the mentality of perfectionism, because this is what is killing most people. You're either eating healthy 100% or eating unhealthy 100%.
So it's extreme.
It's extreme. You can go to a party and indulge and know that I shouldn't have done this, but I did it anyway and I enjoyed it. Great. But tomorrow is Monday morning. I'm going to get onto my vegetables. I'm going to get onto my smoothie.
I'm forgiven.
Yeah, so it's just finding the balance. So what people fail to do is to get that balance. But most importantly, to understand that we are human and we all make mistakes. And take it a step at a time. Don't try and do everything immediately because it's impossible. So I hope that gives some bit of clarity on how to.
I now know before a party, now it's okay.
Probably when we
Monday, I'll eat yams.
Yeah, I agree. Probably when we come back, I'll just be asking him for his home setting. What is in his fridge? If he opened his fridge now, what would be there, and in which amounts?
And I also want to find out. We want to find out. You talk a lot about weight loss. What about those people who want to gain weight? As a nutritionist, the people who want to gain weight, want to increase the hip here, the bum, the stomach should.
He encourage John because the girl.
You see John here.
The girl I
John
want
wants
told
to
me to
gain
add
weight.
some.
He has failed. So
should-
what should they do?
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Clock. We have 5 more minutes with the good doctor on the Kablu chair, and Laura Grace has a question on the hat.
Well, I was listening to this song,
Tell me.
Heavenly Road.
What?
I know there's someone out there who's saying, doctor is saying no chapati, don't drink mineral water.
Yeah.
I will have a new body when I reach heaven. So Heavenly Road.
That's what you are thinking about.
We're very happy to have Dr. Kasenene with us in
Yeah.
studio, and he actually has a book out.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about that as well today. It's Eat Your Way to Wellness.
How much is the book?
Yeah, but before we talk about the book,
Do it. Okay.
I love my John Corey.
And for-
I love my neighbor, John Corey.
Yes.
He wants to gain weight.
And to buy the girl. That's honestly that's.
He wants a girl who is big,
Mm.
so it's chapati, but he also wants to gain
The
weight.
girl refused to eat chapati.
What should he eat?
So basically, people who want to gain weight, basically they should be thinking about gaining muscle, not fat.
Okay.
And the best thing to do is to work out. So
Okay.
I encourage people to use your muscle. So go and do strength exercises, okay?
Okay.
If you want to do weights, you can do that, or you can do sit-ups, you can do planks, you can do press-ups,
Okay.
and then eat a diet high in healthy protein. Now, most people think protein is meat, but it can actually be legumes, like beans and peas. I like
Yeah.
millet because millet has both carbohydrate and protein.
Yeah.
And then just eat enough food that is healthy, whole grains and high fiber starch. So eat your matoke, your sweet potatoes, your yams, your maize, your millet.